Begin transmission. Hello, everybody. It's Chris, Milton, and Ben for Outer Rim Transmission. This is episode 223. We are talking a lot about the Mandalorian and Grogu as we are getting pretty close to that movie. It's crazy to say that we are getting close to a Star Wars movie in 2026 because it's been so long since there has been one, but there's also an animated series and other things that we might touch on as well today. So get ready for another lively discussion here on Outer Rim Transmission. But first of all, we're going to catch up with what has been the last couple of weeks. So how's it been, Ben?
Good. It's finally getting nice out. Like we always joke, we have to give the weather updates on this podcast. But it's finally getting nice out. Everybody, we're getting into spring. It's that time of year to get out and enjoy things. We were opening up the house, getting some fresh air in there. So it's been really nice. So it's been a good week in that regard. And I actually had a interesting week in Star Wars already to kick things off the podcast, and it's related to this to the movie. So I was talking to the girl that I've been dating for almost a year now. We were talking about upcoming movies and stuff this summer or whatever. And she was like, "Oh well, I wouldn't mind to go to the Mandalorian movie with you and your cousin, because me and my cousin we go to every Star Wars premiere opening night.
Nice.
And she's like, I wouldn't mind to go, but she's like, I haven't seen like any of this stuff. It's like, where should I start? She's like, I don't mind to binge watch it or whatever, just because I don't have any shows and whatnot to watch. So she's actually gonna be a first time Mandalorian viewer. She's starting the show literally tonight. So yeah, she's starting with Mando season 1 and just gonna watch through those shows. Like I told her, obviously I'm not gonna have her binge watch like Skeleton Crew and Ahsoka and all this and Boba and whatever else and whatnot. But like I told her, just knock out Mandalorian. The little recaps in between season 2 and season 3 will fill you in enough. So she is going to be starting Mando tonight. It's going to be, like I said, a first time viewer, and she's going to be catching up on that show over the next couple months to lead up to the Mandalorian and Grogu. So that was kind of my week in Star Wars. It was a surprising week. I didn't expect that from someone who hasn't seen Star Wars, or she's seen it here in passing, but not anything dedicated.
Well, that's the funny part, because I was thinking about this as well, and this will also go for Milton as well. Like, we're all actually gonna, I assume, Milton, that your wife is gonna probably see the movie with you as well, but this will be the first time that we all have loved ones, like significant others, that we will see a brand new Star Wars movie with, because none of us were dating our significant others back in 2019, at least I don't think, right?
No.
Yeah.
So that'll be a fun experience to okay, what is it like for them to watch us nutcases watching a new Star Wars movie for the first time? How our emotions are gonna run wild and we're gonna go during the movie. At least that's what I do sometimes. But and of course it's like you go to an opening night Star Wars movie and it's the hardcore fans, right? If you're going on opening night, it's gonna be the hardcore fans, or even just opening weekend, right? Like, it's just, you got the people that are really into it. So you generally have a little bit more of an animated audience. I'm looking forward to that whole thing, because I've been to some of the pre-releases like Revenge of the Sith and different things that have come out since and in between, and even with those, you could already kind of sense a little bit more energy than would be in a normal movie for any other thing playing. So,
Right. No, I would agree. I think I would have the same sentiment about, at the time of the sequel trilogy, none of us really had significant others that we were taking to the theater with us in that nature. My wife did go with me to the re-release of Revenge of the Sith, so I thought that went really well. And she's seen the movies before, so she already knew what to expect. But I don't think she's ever seen them in the theater. As for the new release for Mandalorian and Grogu, I don't know if I'm excited to see it in theater. I'm gonna go see it, but I don't think I have that hype yet, just because we haven't really seen a whole bunch. We've got a couple trailers. I think the market is going to start ramping up soon. It seems like in the next 40 days or whatever, because this movie comes out literally in 45 days, 50 days, something like that. So I think once we start seeing more of it and get more details, I think I'll get more excited. I'd be curious to see what the fan and the audience scores will look like, what the reception will be from from the YouTube community. Because you guys remember, like when Star Wars movies were coming out, everybody was on YouTube like breaking down whether they liked the movie or whatnot.
Yep.
I'm curious to get back to that because I think once I see more of that like energy of like, yes, this is really good, you need to watch it. I think I'll be like, okay, like it's I'm looking forward to it. I just don't feel like I have that connective tissue to want to go see it right now. I'm going to see it. I just don't have that hyper energy yet.
Yeah. We'll soon be inundated with
Mm-hmm.
TV spot 35 pretty soon here, where
Oh
it's
yeah.
it gets to the point where it's like they are hitting us, above the head with the marketing so damn hard. I would imagine that it's like, okay, let's just stop watching these because it does get to the point where I'm like, all right, you don't have to promote to us anymore. Like we get it. We don't have to watch anymore. They're gonna show us like one new second of footage in each one of these little TV spots. Um, the epitome of that was during the Force Awakens. So yeah, that's cool.
And I'll say, Ben, I know you mentioned about your girlfriend not watching The Mandalorian, or at least her first interaction with this. I mean, the same would go for my wife. She's never really watched the shows,
Yep.
so maybe I know she knows who Grogu is, but like not who he is really. I'll be curious to see if she likes it. I haven't gotten her to sit down and watch the Mandalorian show yet. I think that's something that we'll have to ease into.
I think something to keep in mind with all of this stuff
Yeah.
is we all talk about like the hardcore Star Wars fans overanalyze every little
Yeah.
set millisecond of everything. But the thing is, at the end of the day, like when it comes to especially like Favreau, because this is primarily Favreau's projects, he's done a good job of making things where they've been um, isolated to the projects, but it's rewarding for hardcore fans, but isolated enough where you can watch it
Yeah.
in isolation and get what's going on. And I think that's something he'll do with this movie, just because it's like, you can't, like, let's be real, you can't go and launch, you flip things around. You could have not launched this because we're all presuming like Dave's movie down the road is going to be this inside baseball Star Wars movie.
Mm.
You couldn't have launched this new era of Star Wars theater in theaters with Dave's movie with a super inside baseball
Oh
movie,
yeah.
because then it would have been a disaster, because people would have been like, "Whoa, what is this? Haven't watched this. Who's this Ahsoka lady? Who's all these people? Whatever." Versus like Mando's more isolated. You got Baby Grogu, who's been everywhere. So I think Favreau will do a really good job at making it pay off for the hardcore people. That's where you'll get your stuff, Chris. Like your Shadow Council, your whatever. But the thing is, like, our girlfriends and wives and other people that may have not been in the know, all they need to know, for example, about the Shadow Council is just a group of bad guys scheming stuff.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? It's not a deep movie to this what we think it is, right? I mean, The Mandalorian itself is not a very deep series. We're not thinking critically like maybe with something like Andor, where it's like, hey, you look off the screen for 5 minutes and you look back and you're like, what's going on here? I don't know. We had this conversation earlier last time we recorded Milton, where it's like the unfortunate thing where it's like, oh, Netflix is like dumbing down their TV shows to like reiterate the same points within the same hour for people looking down. So like, I'm not saying that Mandalorian is being dumbed down to that level, but it is just straight up action pulp. Like just
Right.
okay, this guy. I think we'll get enough context in there within the actual movie to be like, Mandalorians don't usually take off their helmets. Oh, this is a bad thing. He's taking off his helmet. It's something important. It's something really deep for him. And then, oh, by the way,
Yep.
this little guy, he's been training for a while. Like, I think they're making this as a soft reboot. And it's actually mentioned in one of the stories, but we're going to be talking about like the Empire magazine cover story that there's been a couple articles that broke out of that. I think there'll probably be even more as the days go on here as they release them. But one of them was like a quote from Filoni, saying like, yeah, season 3 was like the end, and then they're kind of setting up for something else. So it's
Yep.
irised out as like the end of that chapter. Get people on board now. It's not a bad idea to bring them in that way. So
Now, I was going to say also, guys, to throw out there, Chris, I didn't get a chance to check out our notes, so my bad on this. Did you have the Harrison Ford news in our news updates for tonight?
I did not. So if you want to mention
Oh,
them, we might
okay.
shoot from the hip on
Oh
this
well,
episode a little bit.
then we definitely want to highlight this for a moment. So Harrison Ford got a lifetime in acting achievement award at the end of last week, I believe. The speech was all over. He was like talking and everything, and hey, I had to bring this up obviously because it's Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
He just got like a lifetime achievement award for all his career accomplishments and stuff. But he said his career wouldn't have been much of anything if it wasn't for the two most important men in his career, Steven Spielberg and George Lucas. So
Wow.
it was great seeing him highlight George and talk about how important George was to him and Steven was to him and everything. And yeah, it's just awesome seeing Harrison get out there and talk about like his love of acting and like kind of open up. He was actually getting emotional, which was cool to see. And he was just talking about like how hard it is in the Hollywood business to actually like get in and stay in the business for as long as he has for 50 plus years.
Wow.
So you have that. So it was really cool seeing those highlights from his speech talking about his like life in acting and in Hollywood and everything, and definitely wanted to highlight that. Since he's one of the most important actors in the Star Wars franchise.
Right, like this is important. This is something that, yeah, I should have put it in the notes first of all, because I did hear it. I gotta watch it. It was at the was it the AFI Awards or something like that?
Yeah, I think it was AFI.
I think it was on Netflix. They had broadcast it on Netflix. But yeah, give this guy his flowers. Give this guy all his due because he has certainly deserved. You can talk to anybody on the street and they're gonna know who Harrison Ford is. He is just that, put into the pop culture of everything else, and he's just it's great to see, like you said, 50 years. Like he's a working man. There's no drama with him. He's just been straight through. This is my job. I'm gonna do this job as well as I can do it. And and a lot of these things he really did enjoy having a fun time with, which is great. And it's cool to see how he's in TV now. Like he's still acting in his 80s on Shrinking and all that sort of thing. I haven't watched it personally yet.
Yeah, I actually just finished watching what's the Paramount show, 1925.
Oh, that's a great show. I love that show.
Yeah, he's so good in that. I mean, he plays one of the Elder Dutton characters. Well, for him to transition into TV, which I mean, he wasn't really known for that in the last 30 years. Obviously, he's a mega movie star. But for him to make that jump over to TV was smart because I think the roles that he selects is smart. I mean, this character, this show, this universe for the Yellowstone universe is great, and he's a perfect fit for it. And he fit the character well. He didn't feel out of place. Like when I saw him, I didn't see Han Solo. Yep. I saw Jacob Dutton. I didn't see the fugitive character. I didn't see the president from Air Force One.
Yep.
I didn't see Indiana Jones. I saw the character he played. And that tells you something because a lot of actors struggle to make those moves from character to character. Like him, Sam Jackson, Al Pacino, Robert De Niro, like those type of actors are special because they can go from one medium to the other, make that transition. And it's like, oh, I don't think about their big time roles. I think about, oh wait, that's Al Pacino, great actor. He's going to kill this. So I love that.
Well, if you guys think about it, like one of my buddies pointed out to me, you have a lot of great actors in Hollywood history. You can debate who's the best ever, whatever. But Harrison Ford is right there as potentially he may not be considered the best actor ever in terms of like Oscar serious quality or whatever, but to me he's just right there in that discussion for best / most impactful in that discussion of those type of actors, because if you think about it, I mean he's the either the 1A or 1B star of two of arguably the top 5 to 10 franchises in Hollywood history in terms of Star Wars and Indiana Jones. So he's so accomplished and everything. And like you mentioned, Milton, some of his other movies that aren't like Indiana Jones or Star Wars, like, The Fugitive. The Fugitive is so damn good. If anyone hasn't seen that movie, when you get done watching our podcast tonight, go watch that movie because it's excellent. Like, it's one of my most favorite, just like those types of movies. And of course Air Force One, classic. And then an underrated movie with him as well is Firewall. I really liked that movie a lot. That was kind of like one of his, you would say like B-level sci-fi type movies or whatever, but that was a good one.
Mhm.
And
I mean, you forget he was in another pretty famous franchise, Blade Runner.
Oh, Blade Runner, yeah. I completely, yeah. Don't forget about Blade Runner either, folks. We got Blade Runner, we got Star Wars, Indiana Jones, and then there was even a good like island adventure movie he was in called 6 Days, 7 Nights, and basically him and like his wife or whatever, they crash on an island, and then of course there's like evil pirates using it as a base and whatnot. And it's just like action and stuff around there. So like, he's had a lot of good accomplishments in his career, and it's cool. Getting to see him get recognized since he is getting up there in age. I think he's turning 81 or 82 this summer. So, he's up there.
Yeah, I think there's a quote out there where he's like, I'm going to be acting till the day I die or something like that.
Yep.
Like, he is that good he's that into it. He's that engaged this far, and it's like anybody could have retired into his like 10, 15 years ago with the money he's made easily. No, they could have retired in his 30s. He could have retired technically with all the money he made. But it's for the love of the craft, and that's why they're dedicating this to him, because he is genuine with his appreciation to the art of it all.
Yeah, that's why I definitely wanted to bring that up tonight. Just point that out to anybody who hasn't seen that speech. Go check it out.
And this image was floating around. I don't know if either of you guys caught it, but there's an image of Harrison Ford. I don't know if this is an interview like after he got this award or something like that by some magazine. But there's a picture of him like sitting, I guess, in one of his rooms in his chair, and he has Peter Mayhew's lightsaber cane. Like he was given that, I guess after Peter Mayhew passed.
Yeah.
And that to me is just so touching. Like this guy, like really, these guys worked together for, over the course of how many years did they film A New Hope to Return of the Jedi, right? Like it's been a while. So for them to have that kind of impact on how tight of a crew they were, like you see those pictures of like Carrie Fisher and Mark Hamill and Peter Mayhew, like all of them just having a good time. It looks like on the sets. I'm sure it was stressful at points, but it's like the fact that he still has that heirloom, that kind of memory of Peter Mayhew in his possession at all times. It's just like, oh man, that kind of hit me in the feels when I see it. I'm like, dang.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's cool. They were filming and interacting probably for, if you think about it, from 75 or 76 to even past 83, because I'm sure there was other events and things. So probably a good 10-year stretch. Probably they were interacting pretty frequently there. So it makes sense. So it's awesome seeing him have that with him as well. So yeah, it was a definitely good, well-deserved award. Very well-deserved award.
All right, so getting into this week's quick transition to this week reveals or releases rather. We have another Bad Batch comic issue 2 of Rogue Agents from Dark Horse, but the big one here, guys, the big one is we have our first tie-in to Maul Shadow Lord. This is the Marvel comic called Shadow of Maul. Issue 1 came out of issue 5. I think it's the 5-issue miniseries there. But yeah, I have my review on the channel. Me and Matthew over on the Star Wars Underworld YouTube channel talked about it on Wednesday night on the Tractor Beam show. And this is pretty cool because this doesn't have, and I'll reiterate on this one since I have you guys on here because I'm sure you'll be interested in this, but the book doesn't actually have much Maul in it. Maul shows up at the very end on his way to Janix, which is the planet that's going to be the principal location of this new series, the city planet. And it focuses, I guess, on the antagonist of Maul, who is going to be this guy called Brander Lawson, who's the captain of the military forces on this planet. But what this book does well is it kind of flushes out the planet and the culture and the political situation of what is happening. So it's kind of neat because if you read issue 1, you're already going to get a little bit of a tease and a taste of what this show is going to kind of be about. The artwork is absolutely fantastic by Madabek Musapikov. Milton, it's basically, we're going to be watching Gotham in Star Wars. Like a lot of that iconography of really the tall, grimy, just kind of, that kind of vibe is really all over this book. But it was neat because you're following this police guy. The Empire isn't there yet. They're in the mid rim on this planet. They have this private police force that is doing their best, and it reminds me a lot of Andor with Cyril Karn and like that Morlon 5 or whatever the heck the first planet was. Where like they were private on that planet until crap got out of hand, and then the Empire had to step in and correct things. It's the same vibe here. These people are like, we don't want to be under the boot of the Empire. We got to make sure the crime is in line, or else the Empire comes down, and we know what happens when that goes down. So, yeah, it's pretty cool. But Brandon Lawson, just like it's a hard boiled story, like that hard boiled kind of cop story, which we really don't see a lot in Star Wars. So, it's pretty neat to see it in this space. But yeah, we got an introduction of the droid and him, and this guy's not infallible. He gets knocked out. I'm thinking like, oh no, like what? How is this guy going to pose any kind of challenge or threat to Maul? But yes, that's the first issue there. But yeah, it's cool to get like some synergy with the brand here, getting some stuff ahead of time for those that read the comics. So yeah. So getting into the next thing here, and that is just housekeeping. So if you guys are listening, we are also live. Go ahead and subscribe to Starrapter at YouTube, and you'll find when we go live a couple times every month. We go live on Sundays at 7 p.m. Eastern, and if you are watching, you can listen to us live or listen to us after the fact on Outer Rim Transmission, which is located on any of your podcast apps of choice. But yeah, the big thing here, and according to the live chat here, we have Grandmaster Solus in the chat. Looking forward to picking up the Empire magazine that's coming out soon, and that's what our main thrust of the story of the theme tonight is talking about this Empire article. So we got this nice cover behind the scenes with Grogu, with Mando. But yeah, there are a couple images that came out of here. First of all, there was an ATRT with Mando on it. We've seen, I guess, this image a little bit in the poster. I think we see him on this thing in the poster, but he's on the Snow Planet. So it's like, okay. My first reaction to this looks like kind of like one of those Hot Toys or Sideshow collectible photographs. Like, is this a toy or is this the actual movie? That was my first thought. But, it's cool to see that kind of vehicle in Star Wars again. We've seen them in Revenge of the Sith. We've seen plenty of them in Clone Wars. So very curious to see this vehicle probably going up against those AT-ATs in the shots there that we've seen in the teaser trailer. But yeah, I don't know if anybody has anything to say about this one.
I would just say, it's just cool getting to see, some of those like, Revenge of the Sith and Clone Wars era vehicles pop back up, just because those are some of the most interesting, looking vehicles we've gotten. So it's cool getting to see them just, resurface again, really.
Oh yeah. Next up on the list here, we have some good articles that broke out of this thing. And first of all, we have Empire magazine shares a photo of Rotta the Hutt, and this was a bit of a drama on the internet. So Ben, I think you probably caught this, but there was like AI images of the Hutt, apparently, and then it was it looks believable. Like, and then they put out the actual shot, and I'm like, wait, it looks kind of the same. But it was funny because like the people actually forced Lucasfilm's hand on this one, I think. And
it's good. Hey,
responded.
It's good.
It out.
It's good. Milton, I've said for ever since this podcast was established, Lucasfilm shouldn't be like just quiet as a mouse on these controversies and weird things and whatever. And look, guys, we're damn near a month into this thing with Dave. We've got new trailers. We've gotten a response image to an AI outbreak this weekend. So like we're already in 1 month. Not to like sound too hyperbolic or whatever, but in 1 month of Dave being the guy at Lucasfilm, or the front-facing guy anyways at Lucasfilm, we've had more responses to controversies than we had really in that entire previous era, because before the thing is, Kathleen did what she did, and they ran the things the way they did. But they were trying to run it like you did a movie studio from the 70s and 80s and 90s, where it was like top secret, government level information, where, at the end of the day, this is just a franchise here. So, like,
Right.
It's great to see them respond to these sorts of things. We've seen DC do that over the past few years with James Gunn now. Like, he comes out and he'll literally just show like a still in the image and be like, no, this is the thing, or like, no, that's wrong, or whatever. Like, it's nice seeing Lucasfilm step to the plate and, rebuttal some of these controversies, because right now, Lucasfilm and Star Wars, they're kind of at a vulnerable place of where they had a very downward trending trajectory in terms of, like, in my opinion, of like media popularity and just, being in the zeitgeist of things. And, they can't have like these types of AI outbreak and all these types of weird things popping up without responding to them. Like, they can act like this is 2017, 2018 again, post even Last Jedi. Star Wars was still booming when Last Jedi had its controversy. So, like, right now, though, it's not booming per se. So it's great to see them respond to this. And I was like, when I seen that pop up, I was like, oh yeah, I got to definitely bring that up to Milton and Chris on the podcast. But yeah.
Yeah, I echo everything you said regarding the marketing, tactics. This isn't 2015. This isn't 2010. And it's funny because I've been watching a lot of like recaps of old movie franchises. Like, they were talking about, the one I watched recently was the Shoemaker.
Batman.
Oh my God, how do you say his last name?
Schumacher.
Thank you. The Joel Schumacher and Tim Burton Batman franchise, and they were talking about, like all the secrecy behind it and all that stuff like that. Now that's the late 80s, early 90s, where technology wasn't where it was, where people had cell phones, AI, stuff like that wasn't really a thing. Computers were just becoming more of a thing in community, Now in 2026, everybody has access to technology where a little 10-year-old can make an AI footage of something and someone can think it's real and post it, and it's like, okay, it's out there. So I do appreciate that Star Wars now is saying, okay, we're going to take the lead on this. If something gets leaked or is perceived to be leaked, no, let us put it out there and say, nope, that's not accurate. This is right. I think that builds a lot of credibility with the fan base.
Yep.
I think that shows transparency that we're always looking for. And honestly, people say that they care about spoilers, or like they really don't. They want to see what's going on. I mean, we all are very curious minds. We all want to see how the sausage is made,
Yep.
So, like, just show us everything. I mean, not everything, but show us just enough to, like, placate us. Say, hey, this is what we're doing. Hold your horses. We're not going to give you everything right now, but we're going to at least keep you invested. We're going to control the narrative. We're not going to allow the AI age to dominate and put a story out there that isn't true. So I do appreciate that, Star Wars is taking that initiative, because again, that whole mystery box thing, it worked for 2015.
Yeah.
It doesn't work for 2026 anymore. Because I mean, look, I can probably type in my computer or laptop right now and find out at 3/4 of the movie and be like, okay, fine, whatever. It'd be nice if Disney would control the narrative instead of me having to, find that or seek that out or get it leaked. So I do appreciate that they're saying, okay, you know what? We're going to hold some secrets, but we're going to give you just enough to keep you invested and control the narrative. Because again, it's only a property. It's first world problems. It's not like government secrets. But the fact is, as Star Wars fans, we do want to appreciate some surprise. We do want to appreciate, the hard work that these men and women are putting in. So it's okay for them to like control it and actually take the lead on it. I feel like they're always being reactive instead of proactive in a lot of ways.
Yep.
So I do appreciate this is happening.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Milton, look across the aisle, across the studio aisle, under Disney. Look at Marvel. They came out and showed us not Tony Stark, what's his name? Robert Downey Jr. as Doctor Doom, versus letting it leak out through a weird cell phone photography. They just made a big event of it and said, hey, look, he's Doctor Doom. He is the guy. So, like, it doesn't hurt. Is that going to make them lose money for Avengers Doomsday? No, it probably is going to make them more money because people are excited for those things. So I am so glad Star Wars is like changing already. It's a month already into this new regime, and it's showing really good promise.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, and I want to be very clear too, though, because I think some people might misinterpret of us saying like, "Oh, just do what we want and blah blah blah." That's not what I'm saying.
No.
Look, sometimes you got to treat the fans like children and give them and make them eat their broccoli. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes we don't need to know everything. If we try to placate the fans and do what we demand, the property won't be great because it'll just be fan fiction and it won't make sense narratively. So I do appreciate that Lucasfilm is taking the lead and saying, hey, like this isn't true. This is what it looks like or whatever or whatnot. Like I rather just them like just take the lead of their own property and kind of be in control of what they have, because it sucks if it's some AI generated thing or some trash ass social media account just trying to put stuff out there. So I do appreciate that they're trying to at least have a handle on it.
Well, Milton, I think it falls back on, when you say that about, like, the fans sometimes have to eat, they do have to eat their broccoli sometimes, like, and that's what I think a lot of this movie is coming down to, is, like, a lot of us hardcore fans are, like, cross-analyzing, and, I've said it so many times on here before. Hardcore fans in terms of movie and media this year, they're looking for the Ahsoka show. They're not looking for the Mando movie, just straight up. But the thing is, this movie, it's going to be your, probably your broccoli. It's going to have a little bit of cheese sprinkled on for the people that want the extra cheese and stuff, but it's going to be pretty, to me, what this reminds me of, Milton, in terms of football, since it's free agency starting tomorrow. This reminds me of a team being fundamental and going, all right, we're going to draft 2 offensive linemen in the first round to build the trenches, build up the team, just a good, solid draft, even though it's not a flashy wide receiver or running back, it gets the job done. And, like, it comes down to, like, you can't always listen to the fans. I mean, I think it was the Eagles GM, Howie Roseman, once said, like, if you listen to the fans, you'll end up in the stands with the fans eventually because you'll get tired.
Exactly.
And that's the case with this situation with Dave. Like, if Dave fully listens to what Twitter says and YouTube says to how to make movies or John, he'll be fired in 4 years or something, or 3 years. Yeah. So they gotta be reactionary when they need to, but also tell their story in a good way.
Right.
Yeah, I want to go back to the mystery box thing, because I think that's really important that Milton brought that up, because yeah, I mean, you look back, and obviously 2014, 2015, huge moment for Star Wars. It was a decade since anything had come out besides just video games, books, and comics at that point. So there was that level of specialness, right? That like, for me personally, I was like, I want to avoid all the spoilers. I want to go in this with a clean slate and just have that pristine experience for watching it the first time without having to worry about anything. And then maybe like Rogue One, and a couple of years later, it maybe would be fine. But that has worn off. Like it got to the point where, like, when a new trailer in the first year or two of Disney with Star Wars would come out, I wouldn't watch it on my phone. I'd be like, I gotta watch this thing at least on a big screen TV. I gotta cut myself off from social media. I gotta do all this stuff because I want to keep that moment special and see this thing, whatever. It's like the trailer came out for Mando Grogu. I'm like, I could just watch this on my phone. Like that moment is past. Like beside Milton, this is 2026. We need to, yeah, you gotta, like you said, like Star Wars is in the zeitgeist right now. It's just tough to say, but it's just a fact. So you gotta get stuff out there that's gonna be spicy, that's gonna get people talking, because not saying anything is not gonna work anymore.
Yeah, I mean, we've said it before. Like, I'll be straight up honest with you. Like, obviously Ahsoka's my most excited thing in terms of, like, movies or upcoming things for Star Wars on-screen projects. But I'm more excited to see where, something like House of the Dragon goes than I am Star Wars on movie theater screens at the moment, because Game of Thrones, like, the thing is, Game of Thrones, no matter what, at minimum you're getting something high quality, or something, at least a good quality story. Star Wars has been trending down for quite some time now. And now it's like, it's gone from being like in the zeitgeist to being like, I'll get around to watching it when I can, or like whatever, like that sort of thing, where it was just way more exciting and and whatnot. And I think part of it has to do with the society and the way things are done nowadays. I mean, we see it all the time. Like, me and Milton, we're always sending each other Instagram reels throughout the week, like Star Wars reels and fitness reels and whatever. But part of that is also what's hurting the media industry because, we're getting these bite-sized pieces of content that's telling us the whatever little story we need in the 10, 20 seconds we watch it. And then when you watch these, like, movies and shows, like, the quality, it's just like, I don't know if it's people's attention spans are getting degraded because of social media, but, it's definitely, like, hit Star Wars more hard than anything because it's just like I said, it's not as snappy or popular for social media per se. It'll always be popular for us hardcore fans, but like I don't know. I know you can't like judge things on vibes or whatever, just because like that's not always the real metric for anything. But in Mando season 1 and Mando season 2, every single episode for 16 straight episodes, essentially, it was trending for literally the entire week till the next episode would come out.
Yeah.
Literally, trend for the entire week.
It was appointment TV.
Appointment TV, and now, I mean, like, you even see it. Like, Chris, I know you love Andor and everything, yada yada. That show might have trended for 2 days, and then people were already on to the next thing. Because people just, Star Wars has fallen from that zeitgeist of being appointment television. Everybody's got to watch it to, I'll watch it, or I'm moving on to the next thing that catches my eye. So, like, that's why Star Wars just has to almost do, like you mentioned, Chris, I think, kind of like a reboot with this and just try to, like, steer it back into that popularity again.
Well, do you think that has something to do with, and I think this is just the nature of the business that Hollywood and TV is in right now, with all the streaming platforms, that's 100%. Becoming a thing. So, I mean, and honestly, some of the best things on TV right now, and I'm including movies, are on streaming platforms. I mean, Paramount Plus. I mean, look, Taylor Sheridan, who's the creator of the
Elite.
He's got like 15 shows that are boss. Like, they're all good. And so that's all streaming television. And that's something that fans are willing to pay for. I think Disney, I think Marvel, I think DC started seeing that and started going to that model. And to their credit, I understand why they did it. They got to stay relevant. They have to stay a part of society and that nature. And they don't want to be fossilized or whatever, like with that model. However, though, I think with Star Wars and Marvel and DC, I think they need to somewhat stick to their guns in some nature to say, hey, the silver screen's ours. We need to make that more of appointment viewing. Because nowadays it's like, well, let's do a TV show. I mean, the biggest example I can give you is I love Captain America trilogy. I love those movies. I like the new Brave New World movie. It was okay. Falcon and Winter Soldier wasn't great. Did that need to be made? No. And I think that had something. I think that affected the movie that came out later. I think sometimes with these big IPs, they think, well, let's do this little mini series when really there's no payoff to it. Because the purpose is to get the audience to invest in your story and ultimately have them spend their money on your big property, which is your movie franchises. So I think sometimes Star Wars has now taken that model and it's kind of messed them up slightly. It'd be nice if they went back to the model of, okay, let's utilize the silver screen. Let's get away from the streaming a little bit. We have a library built up. Let's get away from that for about 5 or 6 years. Let's get back to this, because then I think it will now bring us back to say, oh, the miniseries is coming back. It's been almost 7 years. Let's go back and watch this now.
Well, Milton, Chris remembers because it was on our lost episode of the podcast. But I had a friend, so when we were talking about the Super Bowl trailer, that little spot, I had a friend who was at a Super Bowl party, and it was an unprompted, I think it was his aunt, whatever, lady in her 50s, and she said, oh, there's a new season of Mandalorian coming to Disney Plus. And I was like, that's the problem right there, is like your general people like that, they see Mandalorian imagery and they're associating it with Disney Plus, and they're not associating Star Wars with movie theaters. Star Wars is essentially turned into a streaming brand, which now you have to go from being a streaming brand and try to convince the audience you're not a streaming brand.
Right. I mean, I still hear people say it all the time. I'll wait till it comes out on Disney Plus.
Oh, I say it personally.
Yeah, I mean, and I've said it
Yeah.
too, and I don't like. I hate that I say it because I do enjoy the theater. You know, my wife and I talked about going to the movies in the last couple of weeks, actually. You know, to see something if there's anything popular out there. But I miss those days of the appointment movies or going to spend 20, $30 on the theater and some candy and some popcorn or whatever. Now it's more like 60 or 70.
You're talking
Yeah.
50 plus minimum.
Yeah, but it's like, what happened to those days? And look, I don't want to sound old or curmudgeon because we're not, but it's like it's missed. And I think there is a way to get back to that a little bit. I think there is a way to revert back to the let's make the theater, you know, an appointment thing again, where fans will embrace the IP in that way, you know, and then you can build off of that again, like you did in 2015. But I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. So let's dive a little bit more into the information in here because, as the title of the video suggests, the Hutts are coming back, everybody. Because, yeah, we have Rotta the Hutt, and there's some cool things in here. Obviously, like you look at this image, this really reminds me of Gracchus the Hutt, who was a villain in the original Star Wars 2015 run of the guy with the mechanical legs. He doesn't need mechanical legs. Rotta the Hutt is he's got freaking abs, man. Like this guy is. I mean, we see a clip of how fast he moves. Like we think Hutts are just these, lethargic, just lazy individuals. But nah, this guy, he's got these cool glaive-like weapons, and but he still retains the face that cute little odd, strange face from the Clone Wars movie. I think they did a really great job. We talked about it 2 weeks ago about how good he looked. But yeah, looking at this image, Milton, what do you think about it?
He's swole. I mean, dude, he's on so much gas. It's not even funny. Honestly, he looks good, but he looks good though. Like I ain't gonna lie. Like he's yoked. And he looks intimidating. Like I've never seen a Hutt look like, oh my god, like he's gonna murder you. Like Jabba's just Jabba. Like he's fat, gross. He scares you in his power.
Yeah.
But there's no physical presence in the sense of like, if he gets his hands on me, I'm not getting away. I feel like I can outrun Jabba and like outmaneuver him. But this guy, he looks quick, looks like he can maneuver, and you're dead the moment he puts his hands on you.
Yeah, all props to Leia, but I don't think Leia's strangling this guy with a chain.
No way.
But yeah, I mean, I agree with everything you just said, Milton. Well, for starters, I'm trying to go from looking like Jabba to looking more like Rada, honestly. But yeah, no, I think I'm excited too, like you said, Chris, on how his movement's going to be, because that's been one of the marquee things I feel like with Star Wars movies that have been moments that have like been new moments, or moments that surprise you, like like in Return of the Jedi, the rank, or like that was a big surprise, or the whatever, the Ewoks, like different iconography, like the big monster, all the monsters in Attack of the Clones in the arena, all those creatures, like different things like that, that really stand out in terms of imagery. And I think we'll get that with this character, especially. I think they're going to do something nice with him, because we've seen it even in the Mandalorian universe, where it's like, these characters have came in and gotten cool introductions. Like we've seen Favreau do it all throughout. I mean, heck, look at how cool Gideon's introduction was, even at the end of Mando season 1 with the Darksaber.
Yeah,
like that was like, whoa!
Like, wait, what? I was standing up. I was standing up watching that, going, "There's no way." There's no way. Who is this guy? Why does he have Darksaber?
See, I think that's what we're gonna get with this guy. We're gonna get some sort of cool intro, just to like.
Oh yeah.
Because they got to establish a baseline, even to us. Last time we seen him, he was a little stinky Rotta the Hutt, and now it's this warrior. So even for us as hardcore fans, they have to establish he's some sort of warrior. What are they called? when they fight in arenas. Gladiator. They have
Yeah.
to establish he's like a gladiator type guy.
Yeah, and what's interesting is because like the rumors, right, is like Mando's fighting this guy to like escort him around the guy. This guy doesn't need any help. This guy is. Why does he need Mando's help? He could take anybody down. It looks like if that is a story where we're trying to find this guy, gotta bring him somewhere. It's interesting, but I mean, jumping off of that point in the article here, they do give us a little bit of like a preview, a little snippet of like maybe what's happening. So this is a quote from I think it's Jon Favreau here. When you're trying to establish yourself and your name is famous, when you're Jabba the Hutt's kid, what does that do? How does that affect his trajectory? I get a kick out of that. So that's from somebody. I think that's Favreau saying that. So that gives us a little bit of a hint. It's like okay, and this is what I always had a trouble with Book of Boba Fett. It's like okay, so Bib Fortuna comes in and just usurps the throne of Jabba. Where the heck was Rotta the Hutt this whole time? The heir to the throne, essentially.
Right.
So, and then you have these twin characters, that are there vying. Like they have their own little place there on Nar Shaddaa, or maybe Nar Shaddaa, but now Hutta. So here we go. Maybe this is the story that maybe we haven't gotten yet. Is okay. What is? And that's where Boba Fett. I keep saying that's where Boba Fett can fit in here. Is what's happening with this whole crime underworld at this point?
Mm-hmm.
The power vacuum.
Yeah. I mean, I like that he. Well, what stands out to the whole Favreau comment. I'm looking at the article right now, and he actually makes a comparison to another famous son from a cinematic universe, which is Apollo Creed, Adonis Creed. Because if you guys seen the Rocky franchise, Adonis is the famous son of Apollo. He starts boxing too, but he wants to make his own name. And Favreau actually says he compares Rotta to Adonis Creed from the Rocky films, a son with a famous father trying to make his own way in the world by stepping out of his father's shadow. Like, that's very telling. And for him to be fighting in the arena, Jabba wasn't doing that. Jabba got his name from being, a badass when it comes to being a gangster, whatnot. Rotta's probably like, no, this isn't my life. I want to murk people. I want to like fight. I don't need my dad's name. I'm gonna just do me. So I think it's cool to see that. It'd be interesting to see them actually touch on this in this movie to kind of see what he's been doing for the last 15, 20 years or whatever. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see how they talk about the inner psyche of a Hutt and like what he's going through.
I'm interested too, guys. Milton, you bring up a really good point there, talking about the time span. Like, if you guys think about it, we know Ahsoka's in this universe, obviously, and Star Wars loves to make its little connections and stuff. Obviously, they won't name drop Ahsoka. I'm sure of it, or I would highly guess that. But Chris, like, what if Grogu does some Force thing, and then Rada mentions seeing a Jedi do that years ago when he was a kid, or something like that, and like kind of little callback to the Clone Wars movie with Ahsoka and Anakin, and just a little nod. Like, I could see them doing that just because they like to connect things.
Yeah, I would expect that a little bit. You got to make a reference. Like most of these people know who Ahsoka is.
Yeah.
I would bet that most people are going to see this movie have not seen the Clone Wars movie. So they would want to have a little bit of that shared history, make a reference, have a little bit of exposition going, oh yeah, remember all those years ago I escaped from the Separatists, and that would be so cool if they mentioned like Separatists in the movie. Like, yeah, prequel people get that, So yeah, I'm definitely curious about that. Another thing that was cool that came out of this is the fact that, and we had talked about this in the trailer, it's like, wait, why is he speaking basic? Well, apparently, according to the actor Jeremy Allen White, my speaking voice changes. Of course, I had to listen to Jabba. There's a little bit of Huttese in there, so good. I'm happy about retaining that authenticity of what makes the Star Wars universe so rich, is having all these different kind of languages and whatnot.
Oh yeah, I think it's cool that they're gonna have him doing that. Just because, like you said, it's retaining the authenticity of having him be a Hutt and everything, and of course just being the unique thing to Star Wars. But I think what this all confirms, though, it was reported a couple years ago. It felt like now, but he's going to be one of the main characters in this movie, and like people just have to get prepared for a Hutt to be a main character in the movie. I mean, he's if you look at the any acting list for this movie, it's Pedro, it's Jameer Allen White, and then the lady, the Colonel or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's those three. Sigourney Weaver. It's those three are the lead actors for this movie. So you have so it's just people are. I think they're really priming people to get ready. Like, hey, this guy is going to be in the majority of the movie. So it's just something to be prepared for.
Oh yeah. Moving on to another part of the article here. This talks about Pedro Pascal and his face actually all over the trailer. And it was just they're beating around the bush at this point in this article. They're saying, Pedro's basically saying, "I'm. It's got to be super big and important because it's Mandalorian Creed. If I'm going to remove the helmet." He had an idea in his mind. Pedro was like, "I have an idea in my mind. This could only happen if this happens." And then apparently that's exactly what he was thinking, and that's what John was thinking. It's like, okay, this is perfect. So they're on the same page. It's good to see that the actor is very involved with the character, obviously, to like know this won't work. It's cool to see like, hey, I'm just not, obviously just getting a paycheck, just doing whatever you're telling me. Like, no, I would actually have something to say if this was not the way it should be in my head. So I'd like to see that he's really involved with the character that he helped create.
Yeah, I think it's good that he's being involved and taking his helmet off the movie and everything. I was just chuckling a little bit because like it's my Hollywood cynic in me almost because now Star Wars is good enough for Pedro to be involved in. For several years he's just been the voice of Mando, but now since it's the Hollywood and since it's the big screen and Star Wars coming back to theaters, now he has to play the body of Mando after all these years. I mean, of course, Brendan Wayne and the other guy are going to be involved, and they're going to be probably involved in more of the action type of things and whatnot. But it just gives me a little chuckle because, like, now it's good enough. But I think it is nice. Like, my cynicism aside, I do think it is nice, like, getting the actual actor who played him, her who's playing Din Djarin to be in the suit. We've seen it with Katie Sackhoff. You really feel like it's her versus a body double playing her because it is Katie. So you have her doing it. So it's nice that Din Djarin is gonna be like a big part of this in terms of, or Pedro, I should say. Pedro is a big part of this in terms of actually being in the movie. So I really think it's going to be interesting. And I was going to bring up to you guys like, what do you think, Milton? Like, why is his helmet coming off? Do you think it's forcibly getting taken off by like whatever this going on in this arena thing? Like, do you think they suspended him and like ripped it off or something? I don't know. Like, but go on.
I think it's because, and this is going to be stupid, but I'm going to say it in a funny way. It's Hollywood. He wants to be seen. Like, he's in everything. So, I mean, he's Mr. Fantastic. He was in Last of Us. He's in Star Wars. He's in so many properties. Now, yes, I love the mysterious nature of the Mandalorians in the first couple of seasons. Like, that was awesome with him with the helmet on. But let's be real here. You're marketing now to a global audience. You need to show his face. It just makes sense. I mean, I think for the story itself, if they organically fit it in, sure, I trust it. I mean, they did it. They did a good job in the show when he took his helmet off that first time, and how they organically did it. I think that changed the nature of the game and of the show. But it's Pedro Pascal. Like, you have to show his face. He's globally a world-known name now, so it just fiscally makes sense to put your lead on the screen and show fans what it look like. I mean, it just makes sense, especially for the audience who hasn't seen the show yet. So you got to at least say like, oh, that's the guy from Fantastic Four. We got to see him, you know. So that's my rationale to it.
Oh yeah, but I mean, in the trailer, it does look like he might be on his knees in front of the twins, and it looks like there's a droid hand taking the helmet off. So I think it's literally like, he's not no choice. He can't fight it because
Right.
he's binded, and it's like, oh, I wouldn't take it off voluntarily. Somebody did it for me, so
Yeah.
that's
Which
it.
that's what I'm saying. Like it has to work for the story, but I mean, come on, guys, we all know. Like, I mean, that's not like. Let's be real here. That's like if we decided to make Denzel Washington a Mandalorian. You think he's doing the movie without showing his face? He's showing his face. Like, I mean, it's Denzel. You show that guy's face for a reason. Will Smith. Will Smith was Deadshot.
Well, we have an example right here in Star Wars, Milton.
Yeah.
Why is Kylo Ren taking his helmet off all the time?
Facts.
I mean, it's because it's Adam Driver. He looks good. He's a Hollywood star.
Right. And at the time, like Adam Driver wasn't Adam Driver yet, but that character, like if he's related to Han Solo and Leia, I want to see what he looks like.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But look at all these other actors who are big time. Like Will Smith was Deadshot. He wore that mask once, maybe twice in that whole movie. Like Batman, look at the Batman franchises. They love taking the mask off of the leads. So it's yeah.
There we go. And, you know, there's one little thing here, a note from Dave Filoni, just talking about like the impact of what this movie might do. And we did cover this a little bit, but it's just like, all right, you know, it's a celebration of Mando, but, you know, you can't really build up to episode 7. Episode 7 was, this is his words exactly. Episode 7 was a completely different entity. I had dreams of episode 7 since I came out of Return of the Jedi. You were like, after episode 6 comes 7. We're 7. We're in a completely different era of Star Wars now. That's kind of like what this is. So, you know, he's not throwing shade on his own movie, but it's just like putting things into realism. Like, hey guys, it's a 7-year absence. That's a long time, but this is not the next saga thing, which will be, I'm assuming, Kinberg.
See, there could have potentially been that sort of anticipation if Mando. What year did Mando come out in? Was that 19?
Yeah.
Okay, 19. So we could have had an episode 7 level impact if Mando was a 1-season exclusive isolated series. Say if they ended the first season. I mean, obviously, they'd have to change the ending probably a little bit because of Gideon, but whatever. But you change the season, end it in a cliffhanger-y type way, give it a 7-year gap, you know, running off that high of being the most popular thing in the world in 2019 to now, this movie would have been amped up to almost episode 7 levels. Obviously not because you don't have the original trilogy characters, but still, like, I mean, heck, even on a different note, imagine if Mando ended after season 2. You end with Luke Skywalker, and then the next time we see him is this movie, a 5 or 6 year gap later. You know, I think then you get your episode 7 level, like, whoa, cultural big thing. But now, like, you know, we've gotten, not to just dump on Disney Plus all the time, but we've gotten Star Wars pretty consistently the past 7 years on Disney Plus, where it's like, it went from being like a, you know, gourmet level restaurant to, you know, now we're eating at McDonald's every day. Like, you know, that's basically, you know, hey, nothing against McDonald's. I love their McRib. Shout out McRib. But I, you know, we got to that level where it's just like, it's commoditized or it's whatever. And like, that's why Dave had to put that disclaimer in there almost, because Dave knows it. Like, objectively, even though he works at the company, he's the head of all this stuff. If he sits back as a fan like we do, which, you know, he's talked about his fandom, he can't objectively say Star Wars is, you know, in the same place as it used to be, because it's just, you know, you can't objectively look at the landscape and think that, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's the scoop. That's what's happening in the realm of Star Wars at this moment. There was a funny story that I'd even put down where it's just like somebody just asked, I guess, the developer of the Knights of the Republic remake, like, "Hey, you guys still making the game?" And they're like, "Yeah, we're making the game." And that was like all we got. The thing got announced like 5 years ago. I just think it's
Don't get me
hilarious.
started.
Like, how are we still beating around the bush? You have the biggest Star Wars video game ever known to man, and you have the unlimited resources at Lucasfilm to make it happen, and we still don't have gameplay or anything, and it's switched like 2 or 3 developers. Like, I have a bad feeling about this.
Yeah, yeah, that's definitely another podcast for another day. But yeah, it's still in development. Still in development. Like, come on, man. Like, you guys know how I feel about the games. Seriously, since Disney took it over, it's been.
The real question is, will Milton, I know you're in your mid-30s. Will you hit 40 before that game comes out, or will it be after 40?
Listen, no, it's funny. I turned 39. Listen, I turned 39 this July.
Okay.
So, like,
man. Okay, never mind. Then you're hitting 40 before that.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, this game was, like, I know about to wrap up soon, but when was this announced? Like, what, 4 or 5 years ago?
Yeah, something like that.
Like, that's what I'm saying. It's like,
you weren't even married.
I was so hyped because I love the Xbox original one. We all do. Even Knights of the Old Republic 2 wasn't bad. Like, it wasn't horrible, but it's not number one.
Yep.
And it's like, that's the only reason why I got Xbox was because of those games.
Yep.
Like, and Obi-Wan Kenobi game. That's it. But, like, dude, like, come on. Like, it's not that difficult to remaster. I mean, a lot of games are being remastered all the time.
Yeah.
But hey, that's another conversation for another day.
There we go. We'll leave it on a rant note of us and frustration. But that's where we'll end it for this week. I'm gonna throw it back to you, Milton. Where can the people find you online if they want to follow what you're up to?
Well, if you want to talk about Knights of the Republic, you can find me on X at Milton Weber 7 or on Instagram at Milton7Weber. Or hit me up on those platforms. I like to talk Star Wars, sports, games, life, whatever. I appreciate you guys listening and watching. It's been a hell of a journey. It's actually funny today. I was reminiscing about how the three of us met years ago because my wife was like, "How did you meet Ben and Chris?"
I forget.
And I kind of went through the whole. I was like,
"Those are individual podcasts."
Right. I was like, I met Chris first through YouTube, and Chris met Ben, and Ben, he put us all together. We were talking about podcasting, but it's just funny how this is episode 223, and we're still doing this. We've developed a really good friendship, and when I'm saying this because this is real, people. Like, Star Wars is a real thing that actually connects people together.
Yeah.
And forms bonds and relationships, and I wouldn't even know what I would do with myself without some type of Star Wars talk or interaction. So I'm very much appreciative that we still do this and that we're having fun every time we do it.
That's right. As soon as it becomes a chore, as soon as it becomes not fun, like, I think it's time to call it quits. But that's not happening anytime soon. I'll tell you the people that right now. But no, I appreciate the sentiment, Milton, because that's what I think about as well. Like, it's just that point we talk about appointment times. Like, we're always on here. Like, we're always doing this show 7:00 on Sundays when we're all available. We try to get all three of us together, and that's how it goes. And it's good to have the outlet because not all of us have that outlet. And it's just. Yeah, so we're going to keep doing this thing, all right? We're going to keep doing this thing.
Yeah, well, we're all gray and wrinkly.
Let's go. Gosh, can you imagine we're still doing this like 20 years from now? We're grizzled podcast veterans.
Guys,
what would podcast be an evolved version of a podcast by then? Like, what is it going to be in VR? What is a podcast?
Something.
Yeah, we'll push till we're 90. Guys, that's like I seen an Instagram reel a while back. I don't remember if I sent it to Milton or not, but the caption was I was going to send it to both you guys. The caption, it said when you and your friends are in a nursing home together one day with dementia, and the clip was from the Kenobi show when Obi-Wan's like, "I'll do what I must" to Vader. I was cracking up so much. I was like, yeah, that'll be everybody when we're all older as Star Wars fans.
Yeah, like we're doing a podcast. It's like I say something, like 5 minutes later I say the same thing again, and then another 3 minutes later I say the same thing again.
Yep. me and Milton will be saying 60 years ago, Kathleen Kennedy.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's always a good time. Like you said, Milton, it's as we're wrapping up here, reminiscing and whatnot, it is a good time hopping on here and talking. I mean, gosh, my first time I had talked about this podcast, the origins of it a few weeks back. I was in a Xbox party with my cousin and one of his friends, and he was like, "Oh, cool, you have a podcast, blah blah blah," because he hadn't heard me talk about that before, or I just hadn't came up because I've only known him for about a year, and he was asking like how I got started on here, and I was like, yeah, like I literally got started on this thing by having almost damn near a 3-hour conversation about the Tartakovsky Clone Wars with Chris. When it was just us two talking about it for my first podcast with you on here, and that's what eventually turned into this because Milton was right after me, or Milton was before me, or whatever, and then we all got together for this podcast, and we've been doing it since.
Yep.
So yeah, it's been a lot of fun on here. And we got plenty more years and episodes to go after this, that's for sure. But yeah, until then, everybody can find me talking about all these types of topics at Real Ben Maynard on X and Instagram. And also one more bonus bit of content for anybody that's listening or watching this late. And this is probably a thing even Chris, you'll be interested in hearing. So a little quick review. I would definitely recommend, if anyone wants to watch something, sit down for like a 2 hours and 45-minute period or so. There's a 4-episode dinosaur documentary on Netflix that just came out. We watched it last night. It's excellent. It's if anybody's ever seen, I'm sure you guys have seen over the years, the Planet Earth show with David Attenborough.
Yeah.
Where he like narrates and talks about the life of whatever he's talking about. Well, this, Chris, mind you, because I know you're such a big dinosaur fan.
Oh, I heard about
this. This legitimately is Morgan Freeman doing the David Attenborough thing. He's narrating the first episode's Triassic period, second episode Jurassic, third Cretaceous, and fourth is the fall of the dinosaurs. And it's Morgan Freeman going through the dinosaur eras like David Attenborough does on Planet Earth, or Blue Planet, or whatever it's called. And Morgan Freeman narrates it, and like it's cool because you see the whole evolution and fall of dinosaurs, going from like the reptiles and dinosaurs in 250 million years ago to like clear up to the end of everything and whatnot. And it is so well produced. I was so impressed by it. And for what it's worth, my sister, who's she's smart. I'll say this in the nicest way possible. She's smart, but my sister is not the most media literate, as in like following along with like a movie, because she's the 29-year-old in the TikTok brain of things, so she just like doesn't pay attention to movies very well, or shows. And then when it comes to this, like she was like engaged and stayed locked in watching this series, and she's like, whoa, this is really interesting. She wasn't even on her phone or anything watching it, so I was really impressed that he even caught her attention. So yeah, anybody who wants to check out this documentary, it's the new dinosaur one. It's trending worldwide, #1 on Netflix, and it's Morgan Freeman, so you can't complain too much about it. So highly recommend that to anybody who wants something to watch this week.
Yeah, no, that definitely is something that I want to see, because I've seen images of that. I've seen on Twitter, X, whatever, of the dinosaurs look like Jurassic World quality. Like the CGI, right, looks really good.
So, it's awesome, dude. I think you'll really like it, especially with when I first 10 minutes into it, I said to my sister, I said, oh, the guy Chris I do the podcast with, he's gonna love this. I know it.
Well, I might have to watch that tonight, because I was not sure what I was gonna do or what I was gonna watch, but that might be what's next. So there we go. There's episode 223 in the books. If you guys want to follow me, I post all the content here on this very YouTube channel, youtube.com/Starrapter. As I mentioned off the top of the show, I have Shadow of Maul, my review for that. And you can also follow me on Twitter and X at Starrapter. I post everything from Star Wars to what games I'm playing and everything in between. But there you go. For Milton, for Ben, for Chris, aka Starrapter, that's going to do it for episode 223 of Outer Rim Transmission. Thanks for watching, everybody. May the Force be with you always in transmission.